What's up guys, Nexus Tech here, and firstly I figured out how to do screen animation, so yay, I get to animate your screen and yeah, you get to see my face and all that crap. But anyway, let's talk about what this video is about, the Samsung Galaxy S3 versus the LG Nexus 4. These are going to be two of the biggest Android phones that are going to be around. It's a big deal. Let's just jump straight into these specs. The first thing I want to say that's the difference is the Galaxy S3 does come with, or you can buy a Galaxy S3 with LTE, whereas the LG Nexus 4 does not come with LTE at all. You can't buy an LG Nexus 4 with LTE. That's just what Google decided, right? So if you're an LTE lover and you must have LTE, your decision is made already. Don't even bother watching the rest of the video. If not, carry on. As we move down, let's check out the dimensions. You can see here, where are we? This is the thinness of the device, and you can see the Galaxy S3 is 8.6mm thin, whereas the LG Nexus 4 is 9.1mm thin. So the Galaxy S3 wins out here as it's thinner. The Galaxy S3 also wins in the fact that it's lighter. It's 133 grams versus 139 grams for the Nexus 4. So not a lot in it, but it is still lighter and thinner. And we all know that the Samsung Galaxy S3 has a 4.8-inch screen, so it's slightly bigger than the LG Nexus 7 at 4.7, but not too much. Moving on to display, Galaxy S3 has a Super AMOLED display, which is great for rich colors, you know, really nice vivid colors. Some people say they're oversaturated, so if you don't like oversaturation, maybe the Nexus 4 is for you. It's got a True HD IPS Plus capacitive touchscreen, which is said to reproduce better color tones and more natural color tones, I should say. Looking over to the resolutions of both phones, the Galaxy S3 comes in at 1280 by 720 at 4.8 inches, and the Nexus 4 comes in at 1280 by 768. So a slightly higher resolution on the Nexus 4. Now, a slightly higher resolution and 0.1 of an inch less on the Nexus 4 equals a 318 ppi pixel density versus the Galaxy S3's 306. Now we know the famous Retina display on the iPhone 5 is 326, so the LG Nexus 4 is getting very close to those kind of numbers, and it's going to have a really nice screen. Obviously the Galaxy S3 has a slightly bigger screen, so it depends what you like. Both have Corning Gorilla Glass 2, so they're both pretty protective. This is another big difference that's really going to make or break either phone for you. The Galaxy S3 comes with a micro SD slot, and you can have an SD card up to 64 gigabytes. It also comes in 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte variants, so if you have the 64 version and a 64 gigabyte SD card, you can go ahead and get 128 gig of space. Now, after I've said all that, this is going to be quite depressing for the Nexus 4. It only comes in 8 and 16 gigabyte storage and doesn't have an SD card. So all you're going to have here is 16 gigabytes, and that's it. I say 16 because I don't think hardly anyone's going to go for the 8. The reason being is you're only going to get 5 gig of space, and the apps are just getting bigger now, and like a few games and that's gone. So it's not really usable. You have to go for the 16 gigabytes. 1 gigabyte of RAM versus the Nexus 4's 2 gigabytes of RAM. So well done to the Nexus 4 there, because it's going to have some epic multitasking with that 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now going back to when I said the Galaxy S3 has LTE, what the Nexus 4 has is DC HSDPA, which is HSDPA but 42 megabyte version, so it's very quick. If your network supports it, it is a lot quicker than normal data speeds. It's not quite LTE, but it is right up there. It's really nice to have. So that's kind of a compromise, which is kind of good. I mean, it's nice that they have it. USB stuff, yeah, micro USB, both have the MHL. Actually, that's not quite true. I think the Nexus 4 has a slim port, which it is a micro USB port. Slim port is something that's built in, or it's slim something, and it's like basically you can plug it into TV and mirror your display, right? Well, we got the cameras are pretty much identical on the rear. Front facing, the Galaxy S3 has a higher megapixel camera, 1.9 megapixels versus 1.3. This is going to be the other big decider between the two phones here. the OS. As we know with Nexus devices, they get the latest and greatest Android versions, and sometimes it's more important than the hardware, because you know, I've had a Galaxy S3 and you're waiting months for Jelly Bean, so long in fact I even just went ahead and flashed a version that I found, because it was taking too damn long for Samsung to release. So that's not something you're going to get on the Nexus 4, so the Nexus 4 definitely wins out there on upgrades. Checking out the CPU and GPU, the Nexus 4 has a quad-core 1.5 GHz S4 Pro with the next generation Adreno 320. This is a big deal. These graphics are going to be epic, and the CPU itself is top of the line. It is the best CPU you can get at the moment. Versus the Galaxy S3's Exynos 4412 quad-core 1.4 GHz and Mali 400. That's still a very, very strong chipset, and you know, when I get both these phones, I'll do a proper benchmark comparison, but right now I'm going to say the Nexus 4 wins in terms of performance. It's got a new architecture and it's got a next-gen GPU and it's hard clocked. It has to win, right? Let's go down and check out what else we have here. The battery, both have actually the same battery, 2001 mAh, so they should last pretty much the same, but you know, it depends what apps you're running and stuff like that. Now the biggest thing here is the price. The Galaxy S3 when it came out was about £550 in the UK, which is standard smartphone price really, is what you expect. Nexus 4 and Google went ahead and smashed all of that, okay? They released the 16GB model for £279, which is an absolute steal for this hardware. You're getting great CPU, great GPU, 2GB of RAM, a lovely screen, good resolution. You're getting so much for the Nexus 4 for half the price basically. So you've got to take that into account. At the end of the day though, between these two devices, it's really going to come down to what you like. I mean, I'm a Nexus lover. I've got a Nexus S here. I've got a Galaxy S3 as well and I really like it, but I do prefer the stock Android experience. So I will be getting the Nexus 4 and it probably will be my daily driver. It depends what you like though, you know. If you want the updates quick, go for the Nexus 4. If you want the more solid experience, you know, hardly any bugs, solid stuff from Samsung, more little features, then you're going to have to go for the Galaxy S3. The Nexus 4 isn't a development phone anymore, but it definitely is still, you know, when it comes out it's usually a bit buggy and stuff like that when it first comes out. So there's going to be some problems. So don't dive into it if you're expecting a perfect phone straight out of the box. But let me know what you guys think about these two phones. I mean, they're two of the Android heavyweights. I'm going to get them both, so stay tuned for that official and proper review rather than just specs. Yeah, let me know what you guys think.